Okay, so here's a little exercise we're gonna do to help us in our planning and really maybe sort of start to structure our days according to the principles that we've been learning together. The first thing we're gonna do is just take a blank piece of paper, lined or unlined, whatever you prefer. Draw a line right down the middle, and across the top, we're gonna write love God and love people. God calls us to love him first with all of our heart, all of our soul, and all of our might. And so on the left side, we're just going to create 3 sections: heart, soul, and might. And we're going to take a little bit of liberty with how we're going to assign those categories, but this is going to help us make some decisions about what we put on our calendar, what we take off of our calendar, how we prioritize our days to really align ourselves with knowing him and loving him with all that we are. And then on the right side, we're just going to draw 2 sections here, and we're going to write at the top family, the body, or our spiritual family, and we're going to call this last one neighbor, and I'll explain that in just a second. Okay? Family, body, and neighbor. And in this last section, we're going to write celebrate home. And home is a capital H, and I'll tell you why in a minute if you don't already know from reading at Everyday Welcome. So here's what we're going to do. We're just going to do a little brainstorming. Some people call this a brain dump, where we're going to think about these different areas in my life. How do I need to take action steps? How do I need to fit the things that I'm already doing into these categories? Or if they don't fit, can I delete them off of my calendar, out of my brain, and set them aside, at least for now? So love God with all of our heart. We're just going to look at that as more the devotional side of things. Honestly, most of us, this comes last. If we're honest, it comes if I can fit it in. But really, it needs to begin the day. It needs to begin our planning, because it should shape everything else about how we think, how we act, what we do with our days. So I want us to just take a minute, and you can do this. You can stop the video. You can do it on your own time. But really brainstorm a little bit about, God, what is it that I could be doing to grow closer to you, to know you better, to study your word, because that is the written testimony story that you've given me about who you are and who I am in you and who I'm called to be in this earth. So maybe I might write down, I want to read my Bible more. Well, let's make that even more practical. I want to read my Bible for 30 minutes every day. Or I want to do a reading plan. I personally am doing the chronological reading plan for the second time this year, where I'm reading through using the YouVersion Bible app. Whatever that is, maybe I want to get up 15 minutes earlier to pray every day. And I want to keep a journal of that. And so I'm going to put that, just journal. I want to keep a list with the dates of who I'm praying for, when the answers happen. Whatever those things may be, just take a few minutes and just get it all out. Don't worry about if you think it'll fit or if you think you can accomplish it, but what are some things? And pray and ask God to lead you in this that you feel like you could do to really grow closer to him. And then the second one, soul. We're going to talk, look at this in terms of how am I going to apply those things to my everyday life? So maybe it is that I want to be more thankful. I want to start a thankful journal, or I want to be more hospitable. I want to build more relationships with people that don't know Jesus. So, and this can be really general, because we're going to sort of narrow down in a little bit here, but ask God again. Maybe it's something that you've been reading in your Bible study that he's been convicting you about. I complain too much. That would relate to this more thankful thing. So just get it all out there. Get a bunch of things. You might need more paper, and that's okay. Then might. And we're going to, again, loosely translate this, but we're going to talk about everything that I have available to me. And I'll link to a resource, really great article from John Piper on this idea of anything that I have available to me. Well, I would consider that to be my body. How do I care for my body? The refined study that I wrote, Refined Journey, really drills down into this idea of how do I take care of my body? How do I nourish my body and my soul to honor the Lord? So I might need to lose a few pounds. I won't put that on here. I might need to work out 3 times a week. Maybe I just want to say I'm going to go for a walk. whatever that is. Maybe it's that I want to eliminate dairy this year. And all of these things, you can be as specific or as general as you want to be. But then also, John Piper calls it our resources, anything we have available to us. So maybe I don't just want to be more hospitable, but I want to make goals as a family that we're going to be more hospitable together. These are lots of anything you can think of, any resources that I have, anything that I can go at it and work hard because I want to honor you, God, with more of how I live. So those 3 areas, kind of loose, but just brainstorm, get it out there, pray as you do that. And then we're going to go over here to this other side, love people. And what we want to do is we want to ask the Lord, how is it that I can love people more intentionally? Not just in a loosey-goosey, oh, we say I love people, but in a way that honors him, in a way that preaches his word by how we live. So maybe there's something we're going to start at home. We're going to start with my family. It's really easy, by the way, to look at all the places where we think we need to be loving outside of our family, but it's a lot harder with those people that we wake up with, that we walk with when we're having a grumpy day, or they are. So maybe I know I need to spend more time with X child. I'm going to write Isaac because he's one of mine. Maybe, and I'm going to quantify that. I'm going to say 20 minutes a day. And how bad is it that we have to actually schedule that? But there it is. I want to spend 20 minutes a day, or I want to spend 30 minutes a week. My husband and I are going to plan a date morning. So start at home, start with your family, write down just anything. Don't worry at this point about whether you think you can fit it all in this week or there are enough hours in the day. Just, again, prayerfully ask God, how can I love my family more intentionally? Then we're going to go to the body. And by the body, I mean fellow believers, whether that's people in your home church, and I do believe we should start there first, whether that's local outreach opportunities. Some of my best friends are pastors' wives in our town. How can I serve the body well? I know that I've been asked to substitute teach this weekend. So substitute teach. Maybe I volunteer that I'm going to do that more. Recently, I felt led to volunteer for the nursery because I wanted to help out younger mamas with babies. Maybe it's that you want to go to a Bible study that's happening at the church. Whatever that is, maybe it's a community activity. But what things do you know that you could be doing to serve the body, to love the body better? Maybe you know that a friend who loves Jesus is hurting and could use a meal or could use tea, just time together. So jot those things down, put them in here. Again, don't think, do think, but don't worry about whether you think it's accessible or not. Just get it out there, things that are on your heart. The last one in this area of loving people is my neighbor. And by neighbor, I'm going to say, I mean anybody around me, either locally or in the community or statewide, nationwide, worldwide, that doesn't know Jesus. What can I be doing to serve them well? And I want to say it's important to start at home. Again, here too. Is there a neighbor on my street, somebody that I do share the car line with at school that could use some encouragement, could use me to offer to take them tea or babysit for them or take their kid to sports practice? Is there a neighbor that could use a sit-down conversation? And so I want to encourage you to just brainstorm those areas. I'm just going to write tea for now, but who knows, but babysit. What those things are, pray again. Stand at your front window, and this is something I've actually done. Look at the houses in your neighborhood and ask God, what about that person there? What can I do to love that person better? And then the last area we're going to look at is celebrate home. And I underline that capital H, and this is why, because I believe God has given us our earthly homes to lean forward and to look forward to our forever home. And contrary to what HGTV tells us, it's not the one you live in or the one that you dream about building, but it's the one we're going to be in forever with the Lord. But in the meantime, we have a home, wherever that may be. Dorm room, might be a house in suburbia, might be a tiny little apartment that you're living in to save money right now. Whatever that is, that we can begin to make investments in this home in a way that reflects where our value lies, and that's in our forever home. So this could be any number of things. I'm going to say maintenance. It could be our investments. It could be the design of our home. It could be anything. And you pray about this and ask the Lord, again, how do I look at this house that I live in, this apartment that I live in, and how do I use it for you? That might be, I need to fix the whatever it is because I don't want it to break down any further. I want to take care of what God's given me. It might be that I want to create a little cozy nook in my, I'm going to just write nook here, a little cozy reading corner in my living room so that my kiddos have a place to come and read, or that we can curl up together and do our family devotions. It might be that I decide we're going to try to shave off $10 a week of our grocery bill so that we can give it to XYZ ministry or family that we know of in need. And so this is part 1. We're going to get to part 2 in the next video, but I just want to encourage you to take a few minutes, pray, ask God, lead me in how I'm planning my days. Let's move away from what I dream, what I want, what I hope for, my bucket list, and let's instead start from His priorities and ask God, you tell me how to spend my days, my weeks, my hours, my months, my years, whatever that may be. But let's just get it all out there. And then in the next video, we'll talk about what we're going to do with that to apply it.